Welcome to Awaken the Sixth Sense, a how-to guide to unlocking your psychic abilities. In every episode, you'll be immersed in profound knowledge and at-home, hands-on practices straight from experts who will help spark and activate your innate gifts. I'm your host, Emilio Ortiz. For the first half-decade of my 20s, I've embarked on a relentless search to deepen my understanding of both my inner and outer world. My mission is to facilitate a link between the way showers of the new consciousness and the emerging visionaries and leaders of tomorrow, which is you. Today's guest is Jade Shaw, an out-of-body experience researcher and astral projection teacher who passionately promotes expanded states of consciousness. Following a profound life-altering OBE experience, she delved into researching the profound impacts of this phenomenon. She even earned her MSc in transpersonal psychology. In today's episode, we'll explore the transformative world of astral projection and how it can reshape our understanding of reality. Welcome to the show, Jade. I'm so excited to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
So diving in depth about this topic of astral projection. This is a topic that gets thrown around a lot. There's a lot of different technicalities, different methods of doing it. But you've been in this space for so long, and I'd love to understand what astral projection is to you and what are some common myths attached to it.
Great question to start. So astral projection is effectively the esoteric term for a self-initiated out-of-body experience. So an out-of-body experience is basically that feeling or sensation where we feel like we leave or we're floating out of our physical body and we are able to travel in potentially different worlds, dimensions around us. So in Western psychology, they would say it's our sense of self seeming to shift into a different time space. In, for example, shamanism, they would say it's our spirit leaving our body. Buddhism would say it's an expansion of consciousness. And in some spiritualist traditions, they would say it's the soul leaving the body. And in all of these, you can see there's this sense of separation, this moving out of the physical kind of plane.
Yeah, and you've said that you're coming from a Western perspective, and even from the Eastern traditions, the yogic traditions, they consider this a siddhi, which is a superpower, if you want to expand on that.
Yeah, so from the yogic position, they say it's a siddhi. So something that is a superpower that occurs after many, many years of meditation. So very advanced meditators would have it. However, some people do this naturally. So some people have spontaneous experiences and they're like, oh my God, I floated out of my physical body. I was in this other plane. I don't know what happened. So some people tend to have more of a natural ability, whereas others, it might take them some time to develop the ability to actually astral project.
Yeah, and you in 2014, you had a very sort of spontaneous experience that led you down. You were in, you had your own dance company. You had to shift completely your path because you had an experience that said, look at me, this is real, this is what's going on. What happened that made you sort of change trajectory in your life?
Yeah, I had a complete career change after I had my out-of-body experience. But to give a bit of context, it kind of relates back to when I was a little girl. So when I was a little girl, I used to have these really scary experiences, as many people do, when they find themselves coming out of their body for the first time. They're like, what the heck is going on? This feels so real. So I had them when I was little. And then I kind of developed a way to make them stop. And then when I was older, I found this book in a bookshop that said Journeys Out of the Body. And I started reading about this and I was like, oh my God, this is what happened to me when I was a kid. So I thought, was it real? Was I just dreaming? So I decided to do some of the techniques. I did it for a month and nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
So I thought, okay, so maybe it was all in my head. But then one night I got up to go to the toilet, came back, dropped straight into the vibrational state, which we're going to touch on later, which is like this transitory transition before you leave the body, and ended up coming out. So I found myself out of my body, in my room. I turned back, I saw myself lying there, and I did realize that this was a chance, an opportunity to do something amazing. So I didn't want to kind of do something silly or miss the opportunity. So I went out the window, dropped into the street, and It's the first time I saw my astral body, to be honest. I looked down and I was this kind of translucent, ghost-like figure. And when I moved my hand, there was kind of like this stretch of energy.
But it was your body.
It was like, I was kind of like, I sometimes say the Predator when he goes into stealth mode in the movie, and now you know how old I am. But yeah, kind of this kind of ghost-like figure that was like energy, that I couldn't see physical skin, that I could see through myself. But I wasn't scared. I was like, whoa. Imagine if like you saw your soul for the first time. And then I started to tune into my senses, and I had heightened sensory perception. I just somehow knew I could sense the dew on the tips of the grass in the park that was several meters away, and I saw the sunbeam coming down from the left-hand side, and almost like the molecules in the sunbeam. So it felt like I was Spider-Man or Superman. Yeah. And I was like, okay, stay calm, go and do something cool. And then I remembered Akon Rinpoche, who was one of my teachers. He's passed now. He said, go and prove it. See if you can try and find a door or a number or
find
something
validation.
Find validation, exactly, to evidence that you are actually beyond your body in some way. So I thought, okay, I'm going to go get a door number. I'm going to try and go for this. So I went down a few streets and I came to a house on a crossroads. It was a green arch-shaped door and there was number 18 on it. So I thought, okay, I'm going to remember where this is and I'm going to come back here. Never been down the street before. The reason why I'm saying that is because sometimes skeptics can be like, oh, you're just drawing on your memory and imagination, but I've never been there before. And then I thought, okay, I'm still here. I should try and do something even more incredible. So I thought, okay, I called out with all my will and intention. I opened kind of my body and I said, take me to the Pure Lands, which in Tibetan Buddhism, which is part of my background, kind of means this nirvana type heaven place. And then the experience was completely out of my control. Some sort of unseen force lifted me up above the clouds, but before I kind of got to the crust of the earth, I passed through some sort of thin membrane. It felt like a giant sheet of static in the sky. And when I went through, I lost my energy body, this astral body. I was now just a floating point of perception. There was no
point of consciousness.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yes, kind of a consciousness, awareness. There was no sense of space, and I was in this huge tunnel, and there was no like physical landscape. It was a tunnel without physics, if that makes sense. And at the end was a white light. So I was gravitating towards this white light like a magnet, and I was looking around.
You weren't choosing to go into
no.
that light. You were like, I'm being taken.
I'm being taken. And you know, usually I'm like, okay, surrender to the experience, stay calm, go with it, from my like meditation and mindfulness. But I'll tell you one thing, I got halfway and I was like, oh my God, am I going to die when I get to the end? Am I going to see aliens? Is there going to be Elvis? What the heck is going to happen? And so I freaked out, came back to my body instantly, which often happens when you get over emotional or scared. Sat up in bed, I had static all over my arms, and I was lying next to my partner at the time. He woke up and he was like, what's happened? What's happened? I was like, oh my God, I think I've just had an out-of-body experience. And he was like, oh, okay. Rolled over and back to sleep. Typical.
That's Charlie, right?
Yes,
he's a lucid
Charlie.
dreaming as well.
Lucid dreaming teacher. So he knew like, oh, it's fine, you know, there's nothing unsafe or anything. But I'd had a huge experience. This is the first one that happened since a child. And then that day I went back. I thought, I'm going to the house on the corner to see if it was the same number. And it was, number 18. That blew my mind. I was like, okay, so I've evidenced this experience. And then I looked up the tunnel of light, and of course, many near-death experiences and people that have done plant medicine and had out-body experiences have seen a tunnel of light. And do you know what? I wished I'd have stayed in it, because many people have had extraordinary, beautiful connections with dead loved ones and their spirit guides and deities when they've passed through. So I didn't get a chance to do that because I was too scared. But next time, I'm gonna go through the white light.
Yeah, 100%. And you said that, you know, there's also a space when you're in the astral plane called the void, where you can go anywhere from there, and it's sort of like a space of infinite possibility, something maybe known as, you know, in quantum physics. When you get to that, you know, deep unknown, you're open to everything. So was this sort of that experience of going into a void, or when you're going into a void, what is that experience like?
Oh my God, I love the void. It's like my favorite space. But most people get scared. So the void it's a space of nothingness, but because it's a space of no thingness, it's a space of absolute potentiality. infinity of anything that can actually happen. So from there, you can actually go anywhere. And it's easier to get somewhere because there is no concepts, no attachments, no landscape, nothing to influence you. So you are just sat in kind of this void, and you don't even have a physical sense of self as well. What's weird is there is a tangibility. You know you're somewhere, even though it's nowhere, which is quite an abstract thing to say.
Paradox, and the universe is filled with paradoxes.
Exactly.
And in this astral plane, you've sometimes called it the collective consensus of realities. So when you said that the shamans go into the spirit world and they experience something similar as maybe a near-death experiencer, when we go into the astral plane, is it something that we are already, it's there and it's there for us to experience, or are we creating it with our reality?
Ooh, oh my God, that is such a good question. It's an unanswerable question in the sense that we can never really truly know because we're making that analysis from the point of our conscious mind, which is limited already. However, some people will say, okay, it's a duality. I'm going out of my body into another place. Yeah. Some people will say, oh no, it's all part of my own mind. I would challenge to say, what if it was somewhere on a spectrum in between? What if it could be both simultaneously at the same time in a kind of quantum way? Superposition. And maybe it's neither of those things and something all lived together that we just can't even comprehend yet. And that's why it's so important to be open when we go into these experiences. So we don't kind of collapse the wavelength into a potential reality, which is then limiting already in terms of what we can experience in those realities there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and you said that when you got scared in that experience, it brought you directly back to your body. Is it?
Yeah.
Do you experience a sort of cord that still attaches to your body when you're in your astral body?
Yeah. Do you know what? I have a bit of beef with the silver cord theory.
Let's debunk that right now.
Let's debunk that right now. Although I also acknowledge my own cognitive dissonance with having beef with it. That is a limit as well. So some people have seen a cord of some kind. Sometimes it's silver, sometimes it's transparent, sometimes it feels like an umbilical cord. And I think, and those experiences are very valid, and they are real as in they are a reality. But I think if we read that there's going to be a cord, we're more likely to tune into a frequency in the astral plane where we then experience one. I certainly haven't had the experience, and I definitely don't believe that if a silver cord is cut, we're going to die or not come back. And I can almost speak for every top astral projection teacher in the world that they would say the same thing. So I want to, for any viewers, I want to say, if you see your silver cord, don't worry, it's beyond time and space. You will not come back to your physical body.
So your physical body, in a sense, isn't in any way in harm, or how would you describe, that when you're leaving the body, there's obviously a reality where your body is in your bed having this experience. How do you sort of begin to protect the body so when you're having these out-of-body experiences, nothing goes into harm's way?
Yeah. I find this a really tough question to answer, and the reason is because I kind of sit on the fence when it comes to how we make sense of reality, because that's really what this question's about, and it comes down to that dualism again. Is there something that can attack my body? Is there something that can get in? Do I need to keep my body safe? So I'm just going to throw a random couple of questions out. So how do we know that we're not already out of body right now, having this in an astral plane?
You went there, Jade.
I went there. So our bodies could be back somewhere, and we're here having this in an astral plane.
The Matrix.
How do we know that? And then also equally, we assume the body is physical. We know the body isn't physical. When you get a microscope and you look in, the body isn't physical. It's vibration. So this is what I mean about it. Is it safe or is it unsafe? One thing that I would say is that the beliefs that we take into these experiences, if we come from a particular religion or spiritual background, is that will unfold a reality in that direction. So for example, if we feel like, oh my God, I might, something might get in my body, or I might have a negative experience, you're opening yourself up to that potentiality, and then you might experience something like that. How real that is depends on how we define real. Let's not go down that rabbit hole. But I would say I don't do anything. I don't do anything to protect the body. However, I know that some people come from a deeply ingrained religious background, and they might think, oh, well, I still carry these old beliefs that get in the way. So So fears and limiting beliefs are two of the biggest blocks to astral projection. The reason for this is because they can manifest actual realities that we can then enter into. So they reflect back those beliefs. So whether we be Christian or we are Islam or we are Hindu, we can enter into those realities, and we might not have access to each other's because it's not within our consciousness. We don't have that possibility open within our perception. So these are called belief system territories, and you'll find beginners often enter these. I mean, it's unavoidable. You're going to bring your own psyche.
So if someone
to the
says,
places.
take me to heaven, they will, whatever they think their preconceived notion of heaven is, they'll enter that plane? Or how does that work?
Usually, yeah. So the heaven is usually reflective. But also, sometimes you can actually be given something which feels like beyond a limiting belief. Beyond a belief system territory, and this is where you move beyond. So you kind of move beyond your beliefs, beyond your different cultural references to step into these other planes. This is where you might enter the void, or you might kind of break through into other celestial realms because you surpass these very restrictive places. But beginners usually enter them. So a way that we can get over this is firstly attempting to release all of our concepts and attachments to our identity. That's hard.
Easy.
Yeah, easy.
Easy said.
We just need 25 years of meditation to be able to do that. So it's tricky. So we do have these fears. So one thing we can do is something where we create kind of an energy bubble around us. So we feel like we are very protective. So we don't resonate and we don't take fear as an emotion into the experience to then open up a reality that could reflect that fear. So this is something Robert Monroe does, who was one of the first pioneers, one of the legends. And it's something that I've done as well, and I've slightly adapted to it. So would you like to give it a go?
Let's do it.
Let's do it,
I'm
okay.
down.
So this is the speeded up version. Normally we take a while. So the first step would be just closing the eyes, and we take a few moments to kind of drop our awareness into the body and tuning into being present into our energy body. And then we would take a deep breath, and we can use our hands if we like, or we can visualize it. We're bringing up energy through the feet, through the central channel, up the spine, and then breathing out. And as we breathe out, we might imagine that it's sprinkling all around us, up and out, like a fountain. And as it creates that fountain around us, we enter into this bubble. It drops down to the floor. We breathe in again, pull the energy up through the feet. Breathe out the top of the head, and that energy bubble forms around us. So every time we do this cycle of breathing in, and that energy coming up like a river flowing through us, and as it flows through us, it moves out, clears out any fears and limiting beliefs, which from the yogic perspective would be clearing out the chakra system as well. The energy falling all around us, getting more and more stronger in that bubble as it comes through, until we feel like we have this visualization of this bubble of energy all around us. And then what we can add into this is a command. So we could say, nothing may enter that means me harm. Nothing may enter that means me harm. Or we might say, only that of benevolent energy may enter. Only that of benevolent energy may enter. And then I like to do something a little bit Harry Potter, which is I like to put my hands up and imagine that this energy is coming out of my hands, and it is locking, in a sense, the bubble. So it's almost like we might see lightning strikes coming up, or it go glitter, or it change color, but something happens within that energy around us where it locks. And sometimes I like to close my fists when this happens in my mind, this sense of locking. And sometimes I add even an extra layer where I add on this symbol or this sigil. So there might be a logo, or there might be a mantra. We might like to imprint onto the bubble itself. So I like to say Om Mani Padme Hum. So Om Mani Padme Hum is a loving compassion mantra. I see that in my mind's eye onto the bubble as I'm placing with my hands there to kind of lock it with a command or a symbol or a logo or a sigil at the end. So I really feel secure and protected. And this is what I will move out into the astral planes in, and it will always be there until I come back to my body and I decide to unlock it. So if you'd like to open the eyes. So there's 4 things there. So firstly, I'm going to whip through this. bringing the energy up through the feet, feeling that move through the channel, pushing it, imagine it come out like a river all around us. Every time we do a cycle, it gets stronger, stronger, stronger. We also visualizing it in our mind, or if we struggle to visualize, we can imagine. So that's the first step. The second step is feeling like it's clearing out any limiting beliefs and any fears. And it's interesting to notice where you feel that in the body. So as you're breathing this in as a river coming up through, you go, oh, I feel like a little bit stuck or a little bit blocked here or there. Could give you a clue of what that's relating to. So we move through that, and then we can place our hands up. And I like to imagine, okay, don't laugh, that, you know, in Lord of the Rings where they put the ring in the fire and then the words light up and it kind of sets it alight, kind of magnifies it. So I imagine that's happening on my bubble, but you can do whatever you like. And then you can print a logo or an image on there, or a sigil if you're into Wicca, on that kind of a magical emblem to kind of lock it in place. So this is kind of drawing on Reiki visualization, and it is one of the ones that Robert Monroe teaches as well. I just added a couple of extra bits at the end there, the Harry Potter stuff.
No, it was beautiful. I felt it for sure. And when you go into the astral plane, do you see that energy bubble around you?
Oh, do you know what? I have not. I haven't seen my own. I don't actually do it anymore because I don't feel like I need to. You do get past where you know you can never be harmed, and you ultimately have the power. You can never be harmed. So you get to that level. But when I first started doing it, I didn't actually. So I wonder if anyone does. If you try this and you do it at home,
let us know.
Let me know. Get in touch. I want to see what colors, what shapes it is. But the good thing is that you're saying as a command or an affirmation, only that of benevolent energy may enter. Here's the twist. Something that might be good for you, that is benevolent energy, may appear as dark, because it depends. You could get stuff that's related to your healing or your shadow that you need to see that is difficult to see, but is ultimately good for you. Yeah,
and I think one thing that is foundational when someone has sort of this desire to astral project or leave their body and have these amazing experiences, they need to be clear on why they're doing it. So what do you advise there for people's intention and motivation?
Exactly. This is the number one secret skill. If there's a cheat, this is the cheat code, is your why. Why am I doing this? This is because you make it bigger than yourself. So if you're scared or you're like, I don't know if I can do this, I don't feel special, I don't think I've got the ability, you know, I'm not a shaman or a monk or a medicine woman. If you make it bigger than yourself and you go, okay, I'm doing this for something that is reasons beyond me, that is going to help others, you then shift the attention and you get onside your unconscious mind. You kind of bypass some of those limiting beliefs. And if you connect to like a spirit guide, a power animal, a god or a deity, or even the universe, they're going to get on board if you've got a good reason for doing it. So if you're like, I want to do this to go see what my ex-boyfriend or girlfriend is doing and getting up to, then God or, you know, whoever is going to be like, probably no, I'm not going to help you out.
The intention isn't pure. It's not coming from the heart.
Exactly, and that's the key. I'm really glad you said that. It's not coming from the heart. It really has to come from that heartfelt place. So your intention would be, okay, what am I going to do? Your motivation, that's your why, is the pure bit that what you're talking about. This is why I'm going to do it. So you might say, I'm going to come out of my body and astral project to meet my dead father, to heal my grief, and then share that process with others. It could be I'm going to come out of my physical body to connect to my purpose in life so that I can live the life that I dream of and help others do the same. So your why is going to be like your secret to success, because
it's the North Star.
Exactly. I really like that. I've never heard of it in that way, but yes, you're right, the North Star.
And there's a state, you know, when we're beginning to go into that state of astral projection, you talk about mind awake, body asleep. So this is, you mentioned it's one of the most significant stages because it's what allows your consciousness to get into and out of the body.
Yes, exactly. It's basically step one. A mind awake, body asleep state is basically an altered state of awareness, but it's a certain type. So it's a non-ordinary state of consciousness, and the good thing is that most people have probably got into it without even realizing. So it's where your body is completely asleep and your mind's awake. It says what it does on the tin. So
it's a good name.
It's a good name. There's no question about it. So ideally though, to the point of total body dissolution. So you know when like your arm goes numb and you can't feel it and you're just like, oh, I've laid on my arm. Yeah. So basically you want that feeling but with all of your body, so that your sense of self, your mind can't kind of reference point where you are in time and space because it can't feel the physical world. So this is where the mind stays awake but the body goes asleep. The key places where we go through this every night and every morning is the hypnagogic. So this is when we're falling asleep. Most of us black out, we just fall asleep. But if we can hold it, I call this riding the hypnagogic highway. So we hold it, hold our awareness, stop. That's the sweet spot there. The mind awake, body asleep. Body's gonna sleep, but you don't fall asleep. Your mind stays awake. That's the hard part.
Yeah.
Beginners usually fall asleep, or they've got too many running thoughts, or they're anxious, or they're thinking about tomorrow, and they stay awake. So finding that nice balance of deep relaxation, hitting the sweet spot, or what I call the Goldilocks conditions, not too awake, not too asleep, then you can do a technique to then exit the body from there.
And you harness this breathing technique 4-7-8. If you want to sort of guide us through that practice of getting our body relaxed and asleep, but still maintaining this awareness.
Yeah, so this is scientifically proven to send you to sleep within 15 minutes. So you can test it, see if it works for you. But it is good to get relaxed very quickly because it switches on the parasympathetic nervous system. Yeah. So should we do it together?
Let's do it.
Okay, so we'll do it a few times, but I would say at least 5 minutes. But ideally longer if you're someone that really struggles to relax their body. So what we do is we're just going to close our eyes and we're going to go straight into it, but we're going to start with breathing out first. So we're going to breathe out and exhale, then breathing in, 2, 3, 4, then we're going to hold it here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, keep going, 7, breathing out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One more time, breathing in. 2, 3, 4. Hold it as long as you can. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Slowly breathing out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And just allow your breath to return to its natural pace. So we only did 2 rounds there, so it would take a little bit of time. And what I would say is if you suffer from asthma or it's a bit tricky, you struggle to hold your breath for that long, just hold it as long as you can. So try and make that 7th count and then try and squeeze all of the air out. Yeah. So you want to breathe in for 4, but breathing into the bones, into the body, into the lungs, into everything. Filling all the capacities, holding for 7, and then slowly release out, but squeezing out every single drop for 8 counts. And then 5 minutes, ideally 15 minutes, but it depends how quickly you fall asleep. But that's a quick way to help you get into mind awake, body asleep.
And as you mentioned, this is scientifically proven. Every time we exhale longer than we inhale, we put the body or the nervous system into parasympathetic, which is that relaxed state. And I think people are really familiar with these bodies. They're physical, they're material bodies, the form. But I'd love for you to describe what exactly, is the differentiation between the astral body. How do we know, all of a sudden, this is my astral and not my physical body? How would you describe that difference?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And the 2 things that come up there. The first is it will feel incredibly physical. So from a felt sense point of view, from a kinesthetic sense, you may move your body and think, I'm moving my physical body, I'm still in my body. For example, my friend Dr. David Luke at Greenwich University had this experience where he came out of his body and he went to the toilet. He thought he was actually getting up and he went to put his hand on the doorknob and his hand went through the door and he was like, what? And then he turned around. So he saw he didn't have a physical body, because when you raise your arms or when you look down, you either don't see anything or you see kind of a holographic ghost-like kind of sense of self, or you might see like colors, or you might see energy, but you don't tend to see it physically like it is now. If it was a lucid dream, you would see it kind of more like this, but you don't have a body. That's one of the differentiation things. You have this unphysical body, but it feels very physical, which is why it's a bit confusing.
Yeah, and I think that's a change of frequency, because when we get into the mind awake, body asleep state, all of a sudden, you mentioned right before we do the exit, right before we leave our body, there's this vibratory state that we start to feel. So it's almost like we're changing the frequency to be able to go from matter to wave. Can you describe that process of the vibratory state?
I love that, changing the process from matter to wave. Like, that is such a good metaphor, because it feels like that, and that really resonates. Yeah, it's like changing a radio frequency from like the physical. So it's kind of like the vibrational state is, so you're in your physical body, you start to feel sensations. Some of those sensations are, you may feel energy flow up and down, you might have a sense of electricity or an electrical current, you might see flashes of light, colours, you might hear music, hear voices, or unusual sounds. Things like banging. I often say a bit like the bow of a ship kind of creaking. Sometimes it can be, it sounds a bit scary, but sometimes kind of like gunshots or very loud noises. Some people describe it as being in a vacuum, a jet engine. But equally, the more experiences we have and the more we kind of loosen this glue from the physical body and we shift into the astral plane, the less intense it seems to get. So when I first had them, it would be like, oh my God, my whole bed is shaking, it's moving back and forth. And I'm like, oh my God, to the point where I went downstairs one time and was like, Mummy, you're shaking the bed. Like, I thought she was playing a practical joke.
Yeah.
But now it feels like more of a subtle hum, my whole body is like a vibrating phone. Or I say like bundles of bees in my body where it's like a very subtle
And you
hum.
know that you're about to take off.
Yes!
It's like lift off.
Yes, exactly. And this happened just 2 days ago. Actually, it happened this morning because I had jet lag.
Yeah.
I was like, woke up and I was like, and I was like, I need
Stay
to
in, Jade. We need you
stay in.
today.
I could go, but I need to go to the thing to talk about the out-of-body experiences. But you get to recognize it as well, because most people, again, they get scared. They think, oh my God, I'm having a seizure, I'm having a fit, or it feels like lightning. When I did the Netflix documentary Behind Her Eyes, I did a workshop for the cast, and one of the guys, who by the way didn't believe in out-of-body experiences, entered the vibrational stage, and we had a sharing circle at the end. And he said he didn't say anything in the sharing circle. And then at the end, he came up to me and I was packing away, and he said, I felt lightning bolts going through my body. Like there was lightning bolts, like looking very serious at me. And I was like, yes, amazing. You're in the vibrational state. You felt it. Now you know what it feels like. So you're not scared. And he was like, no, you don't understand. There was these electrical impulses. And I was like, oh, yeah, I know. Like, I realized how taken aback he was by it. So it can feel very intense, but also it's nothing to be scared of. It is just like what you said, that shifting from one plane to another.
Yeah, because when we know we're energy, we're not scared of becoming more energy.
Yes, yes. And what ties in with that is when you know you're more than the physical body, because there's something in there with death and like, oh my God, if I leave my physical body, because I believe I'm only my physical body, when you know you're more than it, you are less scared of being attached to it in that kind of sense. Yeah.
And a lot of people report when they go into the astral plane that sometimes their vision is a bit hazy or a bit unclear. And you have certain, practices to help the vividness of the experience, so you can actually see things more clearly. You call this the astral vision or the astral eyes. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so one technique that I got taught from one of my mentors, William Buhlman, who wrote the book Adventures Beyond the Body, I use this loads of times and it works every time, many people have had success, is you're in the out-of-body experience, you don't know where you are, you can't see anything, maybe you're somewhere hazy, or the lights have gone down, you're a little bit scared, you're like, oh, what do I do? Do this. So you call out, clarity now. So clarity now with a strong intent of that you mean clarity. And then the lights kind of fade up. It's a bit like when you switch on one of those faders and it kind of comes up in the room. You can do clarity now, or you can say awareness now. It depends on what resonates with you, your associations that you have with those words as well, what they mean for you, because that's really important, your choice of wording. So awareness now or clarity now, and everything should get brighter. I added an extra bit on though. If it gets brighter, but it's not super clear, it's not like crystal high definition, you can say, make it more obvious or make it more clearer.
4K quality.
4K quality, even better.
Like
4K
these cameras.
quality. Yes, I like that. So yeah, you can do that to make it brighter. And sometimes you can rub your hands well, not your hands, it'll be your energy hands, so it'll be more like rubbing energy together. Yeah. And you can have the intention for clarity, and you can bring energy from kind of your core of your astral body into your astral hands, and then you can place them over your astral eyes, and you can send that energy into your eyes as you do the same affirmation. So if the first one doesn't work, this is your backup. And you can place it on the eyes and go clarity now, awareness now, or I can see clearly, high definition, and then you channel that energy through your hands. So you're kind of pulling energy from your astral body and directing it into where you think your eyes are. Because remember, we don't actually need eyes. We're just awareness, so we're a ball of awareness. So the idea that we have eyes in a certain place is a limiting belief that we take with us because we've lived our lives in a body. Which is cool to get into this stuff. When you get more advanced, you sometimes just a ball or an orb.
An orb.
Yeah.
And let's say you detach from the body. What's next? How do you ensure that you're going to have a successful experience, let's say after you've moved through the vibratory state and you're detached? What are the next steps from there?
Oh my God, this is the best bit. This is like the adventures, the incredible stuff you can do. But before you do that, you do one thing. You move away from your body as soon as possible.
Really?
Otherwise you can, if you mill about and you're like, oh, what do I do? I'm just going to mill around here. You know how many people come out of their body and then just go around their bedroom? And you're like, you could go anywhere in the universe. Why are you exploring your house?
Well, that's a metaphor for some people's life where, you have the whole globe, you have the whole world, but people decide to stay in, the same route. I'm going to go from my house to the supermarket to the gym, and you kind of form like a triangle encasing yourself to this reality.
Exactly, and you just touched on something there, which is exactly how it then helps your life, is that you go into these possibilities, you realize the potential of who you are, what could be in your reality, and then you start to bring that kind of from 5D to 3D, and then you start living it because you know it's a potential for you. And this is why I say there are infinite possibilities, not only within the astral planes, but you can bring that down. It's actually what the shamans do in manifestation, where they manifest in the astral, they bring it down in this and kind of almost quantum jump the reality to shift the matrix, so to speak.
That's a perfect segue, because I wanted to ask you about navigating yourself in these planes. Let's say, for someone that says, I'm not going to stay in my room, I'm going to go explore the universe, how do you sort of manage that transition from dimensions, from different realms, from different planes? Where do you go from there?
Yeah, so most beginners travel in a linear fashion from A to B because it's how they've learnt to travel in their body. We have to go out the door, down the garden path, down the street to work.
Get on the airplane,
get
deviated to another city.
Go to another city. I should have just astral projected here today instead of coming from London, shouldn't I, Tim? So they go from A to B in a linear fashion. So it's automatically what we habitually do when you come out of your body. Flying through the wall is pretty cool though. When you do it for the first time, flying through walls is pretty cool. When you get advanced, you can teleport. So I could be in Egypt right now, I could be in a different planet, I could be in the underworld, so you can actually teleport there. So the way you do this is with your intention. So you would have your intention of somewhere you want to go and you would call that in. Often you're there. It's a thought responsive environment in the astral plane, so you're automatically just there. Sometimes you're not. So if you're not, you can call on a guide of some kind. So you can call on your higher self, or if you work with spirit guides or a power animal, you can call that in to help you take you there. But what I tend to do is I tend to close my eyes, and then I will have a strong intention. I'll bring to mind.
So you'll close your astral eyes.
Yes.
Okay.
Which of course there are none. Again, but I kind of, let's say, close my awareness, as in to not see the scene.
Yeah.
But there's a trick with that. Sometimes you can wake up. So sometimes if you do that, sometimes you can just wake up in your physical body. So there's a risk.
Yeah.
But you also can then end up in the place that you want to go to. Sometimes you can end up in the void. So it's kind of like you're closing your perception, your awareness, so it can instantly move you into the void. But also with your command, your motivation to mind, take me to wherever you want to go, you're usually just there. Yeah. Otherwise you can call on a guide to help you do that.
Yeah. Well, there's an amazing quote that I heard you say that says, the content of your consciousness determines the dimensions you have access to.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
So if we imagine that our consciousness is like a prism, yeah? Like a 3D, amazing, really cool prism. It's got all of our magnificence in it, just juicing about in this prism, and also our messiness, all our ugly bits, our shadow, our light, our divinity. It's all kind of mushing around in this like special soup in this prism. And then let's just say light comes in to this prism, and then out of that displays all of this rainbows. So you've got lilacs and purples and all of the colours that we can't perceive in this dimension, all the different beautiful shades, kind of like a disco ball, all the different lights. But it's coming out through your consciousness, through that prism. So then you have access to all of these different frequencies that you can shift into. So that's what I mean by the different dimensions we have access to. Now, when we so overcome our belief systems and our fears, and we let go of what we think we're going to enter into, we let go of our expectations and our predictions about the world and reality and who we are in life, you can then go into other realms you wouldn't have access to. And this is going beyond the belief system territories, beyond the consensus realities, into those more, let's say, wider realities that advanced astral projectors can get to.
Yeah. So when we're entering these astral realms, obviously you're going to encounter other beings. You're not alone in the experience. There's going to be other astral projectors. There's going to be maybe entities. There's going to be beings, different locations. How do you navigate or manage sort of when you come across these destinations you've never seen, beings you've never seen? How do you manage all that?
Yeah, I kind of call it astral wildlife.
Okay.
So I kind of treat it as in how you would if you're going into the wild. Like, you know, be respectful. Observe, don't kind of go in and involve yourself in something unless you feel intuitively you're meant to go in and give your presence or your guidance there, because sometimes we can be called to help in certain situations. So that would be one type of thing that we could go into. You might feel that you're called, or and often we can enter environments where there is some way for us to help others and then them help us at the same time. So there could be those ones. There could be environments where you meet your shadow. So these are called thought forms. Most people would tend to think, this isn't me, this is some awful dark entity, I don't like this, it's awful, because you do have feelings of fear, disgust, you want to run away. Often that can be a sign it's your shadow,
It's your mirror. You're looking at yourself.
Yes, exactly. So this is an amazing chance for healing. So it can be like a thought form, which is a personification of your own mind made manifest in something that seems to be separate.
What have those thought forms looked like or manifested for you, for example?
So I've had, I did some inner child work in the astral plane, and one was like a little girl, and she was like clinging to my leg, and she was really fearful. But at the time, I was like doing inner child work, so it manifested like as my inner child, and took the form of like a scary horror movie child as well.
Chucky.
Throw that out there. Not as bad as Chucky. I probably would have laughed a bit more if it was Chucky. But yeah, and then you can engage. So you can say, what are you here to show me? What do you represent? What do you need from me? Why are you here? So you can have these, you can even say, what is your name? And then you can have this engagement. And this is a way for you to discern for yourself whether it is a thought form or maybe something a little bit different, maybe something separate from yourself, maybe a spirit or an entity. So you can have this engagement, because if it is a thought form, you could have the most profound healing. If you heal your shadow or your trauma in an out-of-body experience, you're going to have a radical change in your life almost immediately. Yeah, so it's really important not to always run away and to take considered time to go, okay, why am I here and what am I to do here? And a really cool technique for that is the RAIN technique, which I've stolen from Tara Brach, the amazing mindfulness teacher. However, I applied it to the astral plane. So you come out of your body, let's say we're in a dark landscape, it's a little bit scary, I don't know what's going on. And the first thing you do is R, you recognize. So you just recognize where you are. It just means looking around, paying attention, opening your focus outwards. A is you accept where you are. I'm going to accept being here, which sounds really easy, but if you're somewhere scary, you're like, oh my God, I don't want to be here, there's a lot of resistance, So you need to accept it. And then we've got I, which is investigate. This is also good for your memory. So when you come back, you might not remember everything, you might remember fragments, but if you've had mindful awareness, so I've just noticed like how tiny the leaves are on this pretend pot plant that isn't real. And that is possible. So I'm like really brought my attention to it now. So just being in the environment and investigate with minute detail. Like you're looking at every part of the picture in the painting, because then you might notice something you wouldn't either way. So recognize, accept, investigate, and then the hardest bit, non-identification. So not self-identifying with the space itself. So for example, if you've entered into a heavenly place and you're like, oh my God, this is majestic,
that might
divine.
mean I'm Jesus, that I'm
there.
there.
Jesus, I'm a prophet, I must be like enlightened, I'm gonna go back to earth and I'm gonna develop my own cult and whatever, I don't know. But it's not spinning a story or a narrative over the space and actually just being open and being present with it. Because when you're present, really sitting in it with not a narration, the truth of the experience can come through and your intuition will then go, this is related to my childhood home. Actually, I remember this one time my grandma was here, and then you're like, this is why I'm here. Rather than reacting and then going and running away, for example.
Yeah. And I don't know what percentage of the population struggles with sleep paralysis. I personally have never had that experience, but I know it's terrifying for a lot of people. I've had a lot of friends that tell me of their experiences with sleep paralysis, but you actually shifted the narrative because you've said it's a gateway to help you into the astral plane, if you want to explain that.
Yeah, it's a gateway and it's a gift. So anyone that's watching this that has sleep paralysis will be like, what the heck? No, this is not a gift at all. This is what they'll be saying because it's so scary, but it is. And this is why. Because one, it's quite rare, so you're more likely to be a natural astral projector than others if you can have sleep paralysis. If you can alchemize it, shift your perception, and then use it as a gateway, I'm going to teach you how, then you can have loads of experiences. I've suffered with sleep paralysis all my life. Last time I had it was 2 weeks ago, and I have it, and I'm like, here we go. Come on, demon, let's go. And he came behind me and had me round the throat, and was like speaking into my ear. So it is terrifying, but you can get to that point where you're like, come on, give us a hug. And it can be nice and you can work with it. So you're in sleep paralysis, which means your body is locked. You feel like you've woken up, but often we can't scream, we can't say anything, we can't move. It's very scary. The first thing to do is to calm down. We need to neutralize the space because our fear will propel hallucinations onto what we're seeing, or will resonate on a frequency where things that are scary can come in.
We bring the fear to us.
Yes, we bring it to us. So we have to neutralize emotions. So one of the best ways to do this is taking a metta moment. And this is something that I was inspired by Gelug Thubten, who is a friend of mine. He's a Tibetan Buddhist monk. And a metta meditation is loving kindness meditation. So to take a metta moment means we drop into a feeling of love very quickly. This can be hard if you're in the middle of sleep paralysis and there's some malevolent presence that you're perceiving walking towards you. So here's how to do it quick. And we're going to do it quickly as though we're in sleep paralysis, okay? Yeah. Okay, so we're in sleep paralysis. We can't move. We're like screaming. There's all sorts of things going on. There's a demon coming in. Okay, so this is what you do right now. Okay, closing our eyes, drop our attention down to our heart. So bring your mind, your attention, everything you're around is tune into your heart in whatever way you can do that for you now. And if you're at home watching this, see if you can do that right now. Drop into your heart space. Feel your heart beat, the same heart that has been beating love into you since you were a baby, right up until this moment in time. And then bring a person, a pet, or a place to mind that you really love, that you really cherish. See if you can visualize them or feel into their energy right now. And then the feelings that you feel for them, let them wash over you. Allow those feelings to flood your body. And notice how your body feels when that happens. And just let the visualization and the connection go. Notice how you feel after my intense ranting. And there should be kind of a shift from that fear or panic and anxiety into kind of love or calmness after dropping into the heart space. So that will neutralize any kind of hallucination or anything that we can see. And I've had this where I've had like Death Eaters and ring wraiths and scary hooded figures come towards me. I've had huge spiders drop down from the ceiling onto my face. And as soon as I do this, they vanish. They literally disapparate in front of you. I think I just made that word up, but you know what I mean. So they literally morph away. From there, you can then enter out of your body. So this would be to do an exit or a separation technique. Simple one that many people overlook is actually just sitting up.
Yeah.
So having the intention and actually go to like sit up with full willpower as though you're actually going to, but don't move your physical body. If you're in sleep paralysis, you can't anyway. So go to sit up. If that doesn't work, have a backup one, go for the backup one straight away. So your mind hasn't got time to kind of wake itself up. And I would suggest the rollout technique. In the same way, go to roll out of your body as though you are moving it for real. So bring the memory of moving or rocking or rolling to mind, but feel it in your body. So it's not like I'm going to visualize this.
You're not actually rolling.
You're not actually rolling. You're not actually moving your body for real. You're just imagining that you are, but you actually go to do it. And if you're in that sweet spot, you will actually move out of your body and it will feel real. You'll go, oh my God, I've actually just moved, but you haven't. And you'll roll out of your body and then you're in your room and then you can move away from it as quickly as possible so you don't get sucked back. So this is the rollout technique, and then you've got the sitting up one as well.
Yeah. And there's, you've explained many different exit techniques. There's
loads.
Dozens, there's a lot. There is a technique that's a surefire way to accelerate your astral projection, which you call the wake back to bed method. So can you really briefly walk us through that method?
Yeah, definitely. It's quite a classic technique, and so many people have a lot more experiences when they do this. So, wake back to bed is effectively, you go to bed for 4 to 6 hours, you then wake up, so this is usually early in the morning, might be around 4 or 5, depending when you've gone to sleep, and then you would immerse yourself in out-of-body experience, astral projection literature. You might sit and meditate, you might bring your intention to mind, you might listen to a podcast, you might read a book, but you flood yourself with astral projection literature and resources for about half an hour to an hour. If you want to really go for it, you do an hour. You get back in bed and then you go through your techniques. So step 1, mind awake, body asleep state, relaxing, getting into that. 2, triggering the vibrational state. Many people feel it spontaneously. Entering the sweet spot. 3, doing your exit technique, the rollout or sitting up out of bed. And you would practice that, and then you're more likely to have an out-of-body experience because you've got more clarity, more awareness. You're in the best space effectively because you've had that 4 to 6 hours sleep. Now, if you really want to go for it, you could do two wake back to beds. So you do your practice, allow yourself to fall asleep.
So this would be
wake
like
up again.
3 a.m., 5 a.m.
Yeah, so you could do one at 5, you could do one at 3, you could do one at 5, you could do one at 7.
Huh.
I usually have my best ones in the last wake back to bed. But I have I can sleep for 12 hours, so I can do lots of wake back to beds. So if you don't sleep for very long, maybe you have 6 to 8 hours, just do one, but give that a go because it is one of the best ways to accelerate your astral projection journeys.
You know what word came to me as we're really speaking about all of this is spiritual warrior. And for some reason, I'm getting the sense that going into this journey is really about overcoming a lot of fears. And one of the biggest fears for people is death. And you talk about the art of conscious dying. So I'd really love to understand how astral projection has reshaped your understanding of death.
So I know as an inner knowing that there is no death. And every astral projector, almost every one, will say the same thing, that they've had this, it's not even a belief, it's this innate inner knowing, spiritual knowing, that when they die, their body will not die. So when I did my research, which was featured in Forbes only 2 months ago, which I'm like, thank God, we're getting research out there. But all of the case studies in the research, even the atheists and the agnostics said, I don't know what happens when I die. I don't know if I'm a spirit or a soul or consciousness, but I do know this. When I die, I will not die. Something will go on. Whether that's energy or information or some sort of other self, something continues. And this is reflected of all of the religious, all of the spiritual traditions, and it seems that perennially across all of them, this is one of the surefire ways to know that for yourself and to prove it for yourself. And that knowing can change everything.
Yeah, we go beyond.
We go beyond.
And to even look out into the future and getting this information out there, you said you're getting research out there, more people are becoming aware that this is a technique that will accelerate their personal growth, their spiritual growth, their awakening, their journey. How would you see that human consciousness and the planet will shift when more people have the ability to astral project?
There are three ways that out-of-body experiences can scientifically affect ourselves and the planet. The first is the experience of awe. So this is the science and or how it affects your health. You get better health. It's even been prescribed by some clinicians in order to help people with depression and anxiety. Also, it opens up our perception, enables us to see possibilities we couldn't see before, so we make different life decisions. So the experience of awe. The second one is the reduced fear of death. This is massive. Even people at Barcelona University that took part in virtual reality experiments that simulated an out-of-body experience had a reduced fear of death. Imagine the impact of a real one. Fear of death also exacerbates chronic conditions. It's just amazing. Like Ernest Becker, who wrote the Pulitzer Prize in his book, The Denial of Death, talks about how Freud was wrong about sex being the primary suppression of mankind. He talks about it actually being death, and that mankind tries to immortalize itself through statues and monuments. But now we've got people like Elon Musk trying to build a metaverse so that our consciousness can be uploaded and it can keep going. So I think that when we actually have a reduced fear of death and we come to terms with our mortality, that actually, do you know what? Our physical body is going to die. It actually helps us to live a better life and live the life, have the courage to do the one that we want, to step into our fullest potential. So reduce fear of death. And then the third one is self-transcendence. So if we individually self-transcend, which at its heart is evolution, then as a collective, we're going to evolve into kind of the next reality that comes with that.
Yeah. Jade, this has been a fascinating, mind-blowing conversation. Thank you so much for all your wisdom.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
I hope this information has shed some light on how to attune to your astral body. We've covered so many different techniques that you can try out at home, like how to protect yourself, how to get into a state of relaxation, and most importantly, how to explore this wonderful universe. Thank you for joining me here on Awaken the Sixth Sense. I'm your host, Emilio Ortiz, and remember, you have the keys to unlocking your own abilities.